Gonna build a home, then you're never more alone. Live our lives together, call it home sweet home. I told you last night, gonna have no fight. Cause I'm one you love me like you know I'm loving you. You say you're gonna love me and always be true. So prove to me, my darling, as we travel to by two, so we can love just a little, love just a little. We're alone, loving like we do. Loving like we love.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks. On Thursday, it is Thursday, the 20th day of March, year of our Lord 2025. Welcome to the John Moore Show. All right, we have patient waiting in the green room, my friend Dr. Leah Parker. Dr. Leah Parker is a naturopath, I believe, and we will be talking about spiritual events, health-related events, and events today. Good morning, Dr. Leah.
Good morning, John. How are you?
Fantastic. Did I get it right? Are you a naturopath?
I am. I'm a naturopath, and I'm also a registered nurse.
That's right, RN. It's a bit of an unusual topic, but I do want to mention this. I forwarded it to my webmaster. It'll be on my website before the day is over, the panel Insight into Real History. I sent this to you, but you probably haven't had a chance to look at it yet. Apparently, modern technology, it's not the exact name, but ground-penetrating radar used at the Great Pyramid at Giza has found 8 columns that go down 1.2 miles holding up the Great Pyramid. It's a game changer if it's true, isn't it, Dr. Leah?
Well, there's a lot of stuff that I've read about those pyramids, and so I'm excited to see what really it is. I've heard that they are giant energy sources.
Right. Well, that's my belief also, and has been for decades, that they were meant to generate electricity of some sort of power. And of course, there's pyramids larger than the Great Pyramid in Egypt, one in China, another one in Serbia. Anyway, I just want to mention that it's a 4-minute video clip. It'll be on my website before the day is over. Well, Dr. Lee, I know you pay attention to a lot of things. What's high on your radar this morning, my dear?
Well, I just kind of, when you said that, I wanted to mention, I wonder if the ground-penetrating radar is the ground-penetrating radar they used for the Copper Scroll project with this man that I met from Oklahoma, that his son created a ground-penetrating type radar to determine if all of the loot that came from, that Copper Scroll that is the largest treasure map in the world. And he cracked that Copper Scroll, and it's been working over there in Israel to, that would be one of the last prophecies. And they said they wouldn't let him dig really is down far enough because, over the years, the terrain changes and all of that. So his son literally created a ground-penetrating radar to determine if what they thought was down there, and it is. And I wondered, when you said that, my mind immediately went to that because it's very interesting, some of the people that I have met. But if they do dig that up, man, think of that. If they have got all of that down there in the ground that they're able to dig up in the desert out there from when the children of Israel left Egypt, boy, that would be a wild deal there, because you can imagine all of the animosity between Egypt and Israel that would cause.
Well, we'll see. I'm pretty sure it predates the Israelites being in Egypt. Are you aware, Dr. Leah, that there was nuclear devices set off on this planet 12,000 years ago?
I have heard so many things in the last 5 years. I have heard that, but I don't know. I haven't had a chance really to deep down look into that. But nothing surprises me because if you're dealing with the same entities that are of old, they're only going to do what they can do. And then, so I'm not surprised.
Well, I was having lunch with a friend of mine, a retired petroleum engineer, and I asked him, "Have you ever been to Kashmir?" He says, "Oh yeah, John. My wife and I went there on vacation." I asked him, I said, "Are you aware that nuclear devices were set off there 12,000 years ago?" He says, "Oh yeah, John. The local souvenir shops sell trinkets commemorating the nuclear devices set off there 12,000 years ago."
Wild, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think history repeats itself.
It's common knowledge in certain areas, to say the least. Tell us about the Copper Scrolls. What do you know about them, if you would, please?
Well, they're basically when they had the plagues in Egypt, and right before the death of the firstborn child, son, and they when that happened, they gave all of that. It freaked them all out. It said in the Bible that there wasn't a home that didn't have someone that had died when the death angel came through. And so they literally gave them all of their like gold and silver and jewels, and were like, "Here, take all of this and go and leave." They just wanted them to leave. And so when they did, then Pharaoh got mad, and took off after them. And so they had to hide all of that wealth in the ground, and that's what is there. They say billions at every site.
Okay, the Copper Scroll. Okay, who found the Copper Scrolls, and where were they found?
Well, they were part of what was found in what was it when they found all of the Dead Sea Scrolls? Was that Qumran?
Right, in a cave. Yeah. They were in the cave.
That was found.
Right.
That was found there, and they're just a lot of people have been trying to crack the Copper Scroll, and I met a man that was from Oklahoma that there was actually a book written about this guy by another person that described everything that he would be, but the guy didn't know him. The Lord had led him said the guy that's going to crack the Copper Scroll will be this, and all of these traits and qualities. And that was the guy. He had all of them. And someone had told him about the book, and he'd read it. So it was very interesting when I met him. He was going around talking to people, and the Lord led him to my office. His wife came into my exercise class that I was teaching, and I believe it was a dualistic thing, because they had a grandson that had autism and was on the spectrum. And so they talked to me about the Copper Scroll and showed me all of his research, and I was able to help them with their grandson. So it was a pretty interesting deal. But if you look up the Copper Scroll Project, Jim Barfield is the one that cracked that deal.
So the Copper Scrolls are actually made from sheets of copper. Is that accurate?
Well, that's what he said. I've never really I've just looked at pictures on, online. I haven't been privy or had the ability to go look at any of that. Right. The Lord had me study in a lot of different things, but he had studied all of them. And he was more of a Messianic Jewish guy, but he had a lot of American Indian heritage and lineage in him.
Amazing. Well, is there any more to cover on a topic before we move on, my dear?
Well, I just thought that was interesting. I would be interested to find out what type of technology and where they got it that did that deal over there with the pyramids. But I know things are ramping up. We've got a lot of things going on. Hopefully we'll be able to get some headway with Kennedy and this, all of the additives to food. And I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do much with Monsanto, because they're such a gigantic conglomerate corporate deal. But we can hope that some of that glyphosate and all of that Roundup and stuff can be taken care of, and we can find some better options. Or even, with all of the brilliant minds, surely there's something that we can come together and figure out to be able, the organic farmers seem to want to be able to come together and do some things. But when you're dealing with things like GMO food, you have to plant your crops so many, like 600 and something feet away. And if you don't, and it accidentally pollinates your crop, you're in trouble, because like with the Starlink affair, the corn farmers, when they took their organic corn in, because the other people had used they were too close to the organic farmers, it had cross-pollinated, and then the people that had the GMO corn said, "Oh, you stole our corn," and they got fined for that. I couldn't believe it. It was shocking. And they said, "No, we really we don't want your hybridized corn. We want an organic form of corn." But they still were able to get away with suing them. I still couldn't understand how that could actually go down, but it did. It was called the Starlink affair.
Yeah, that was a bizarre twist of the legal system being manipulated incorrectly, I believe. Well, Monsanto, of course, was past tense in my hometown. They were bought out by a German company, Bayer, about 5 years ago. And they continue making the poison, don't they?
Well, John, it's a shame. They tell you what they're doing, but you begin to wonder, is any of the stuff they're even writing down really what they're doing? How do we know? I mean, it's so much smoke and mirrors, but I do know this, that all of the stuff that they're putting that glyphosate on, people are getting, issues with the ability to absorb their food, because that's damaging to the lining of their gut. Right.
Well, glyphosate needs to be discontinued, I believe. It's just horrible product. Okay, Dr. Leah, we have Easter coming up here soon, don't we?
We do. It's we're about to see, it's a great time for springtime, especially on the farm. You've got the little new birth of the animals, and we've got some new little goats running around. It's new life, and it's beautiful weather, hopefully. We've had some very strange weather lately with all of this wind. Do you ever remember it being like that?
Well, not this much. I visited the Walmart in Cuba, Missouri yesterday. They had the front doors locked because of the wind, and the side doors on the other side of the entrance were open for the people to come and go. I've never seen wind that strong, that long. It went on for hours and hours, basically all day long.
It was strange. We had some people have little issues with some of the tin roofs coming off of their little sheds and stuff. So we got around and had to help people, get out and get that taken care of. But it was definitely a different experience. I've been here I'm probably not as many years as you have, because aren't you from Missouri?
Yeah, I grew up in St. Louis, and I'm native Missourian, correct.
So I've only been here I've been here for almost 30 years. And I just never have seen anything like that. And then we had a lady friend of mine that does a radio program, and she had a lady tell her that she had gotten sick from the wind. Now, I don't think it might be wind, but I do believe it may be some fog and wind together, because I have heard people getting sick from this fog. I'm not real sure what's in the fog, but there's a lot of people that I know. When we had to go to the ER for an issue with some kidney stones, and when we got there, they said that the entire hospital was packed. And so, being medical, I have friends. I called up to see what was going on in Branson and Springfield, and all of them, they said, were full, that there weren't beds for anybody. So that to me says something's going on.
Absolutely, I agree. Got a question or comment? Give us a call at 512-248-8252. Well, Dr. Lee, you do private consultations. You do them in person, on telephone, Zoom, all of the above?
I do, and I prefer, the old-fashioned coming in and sitting down, but a lot of, it's new age technology now, and we can do a Skype visit or whatever. But I do live blood cell analysis, and we talk about, mainly nutritional things that we can do to support the body if there are issues there. But there's a lot that you can tell by looking at the blood, because the life of the flesh is in the blood. So it used to be something that was used in medical school before the Rockefeller Foundation took over and started this Rockefeller allopathic medicine that we now have.
And what's that phone number for a consultation, please?
417-559-0216.
Okay, 417-559-0216. If you want a private consultation with Dr. Leah, just give her a call and set that up and get going. Now, the live blood analysis goes back how far, my dear?
Well, it was taught in MD school before Rockefeller medicine.
Well, that's before 1912. That's before 1912.
Yes, absolutely. And you can look around. There's a lot of live blood cell microscopists, and there's a lot over in Europe. But you just kind of have to look for them and see. There's a lot of new things they're coming out with now. They've got red light therapy beds, and Branson has become a hub for a bunch of natural people. So that's a great thing. You can. I spoke with several doctors the other day. We all happened to be, there were 3 naturopaths in one place at one time. I couldn't believe it. So we kind of started discussing how we might need to just get together and have lunch and learn where everyone is, kind of get acclimated to help the patients better, so we can say, oh, well, I do this, but you're doing this wonderful treatment with the red light therapy. I'm going to send my patient to you, or you do vitamin IVs. So if we could get a better, I've always wanted to have integrated medicine, like where you have a doctor and a naturopath.
Hold on, doctor. We're visiting with Dr. Leah Parker. You're going to want a private consultation. Just give her a call at 417-559-0216. And the call number here, if you got a question for Dr. Parker, is just to give us a call at 512-248-8252. Do a segue here, Dr. Parker. We got thousands of documents on the Kennedy assassination released yesterday. And General Mike Flynn has said that this is clear and convincing evidence that the CIA was behind the assassination of President Kennedy. You have any thoughts on that, my dear?
Well, we've heard, a lot, and we've seen so much about that over the years that we know there was some sort of devilment going on. And I don't know that we'll ever know the truth, but we just know that with the people that have been running things in America, it looks like you have to ask, which lie is it? There's so many lies, you don't know. You got to pick one.
Absolutely. Well, I was a 16-year-old high school student when President Kennedy was assassinated. I remember it like it was yesterday. Everybody who was a young adult or older has a very vivid memory of that particular day and that tragedy. But you mentioned the Rockefellers taking over. It was not just the Rockefellers. The Carnegie family was involved also, 1912. A lot of things happened in the 2 years, 1912, 1913. They took over almost not all, but almost all the teaching hospitals, converting them from homeopathic teaching hospitals to become allopathic teaching hospitals. We also had the establishment of the Federal Reserve and the changing of the U.S. Constitution to allow for income tax, which was not done properly, by the way. It was a busy 2 years, wasn't it?
Well, there was a whole lot of devilment going on, John. I just hope we can get rid of some of this stuff and give people relief. I mean, we are tired of being sprayed like bugs, whatever they want to call it, cloud seeding or whatever they want to say it is. But we're tired of it. People are tired of all of that. And I mean, there's a whole lot of things. People have got to decide, what are you going to be afraid of? Are you going to be afraid of what man can do to you? Or are you going to stand up and tell the truth? I mean, there's a whole lot of things that are worse than death. Being subjugated, lied to, treated wrongly. I mean, when are people going to stand up and say, hey, man, truth is worth us saying it, even if there are repercussions to us? No, I don't want to eat poison. No, I don't want to inject my children with poison. No, I don't want to be lied to at a doctor's office and demanded that I do what you tell me to do. Or you going to call somebody to come take my children away from me because I'm not going to obey what you say over what my own motherly intuition and instincts, even though I am a medical professional with a high IQ and graduated at the top of my class. You're going to tell me that if I bring my child to you and I ask for a second opinion, you're going to have it took away from me? Well, I can guarantee you I'm not going to be bringing my kid to any of you.
I like your attitude, my dear. Of course, now we're talking about grandchildren in your case, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll say this, my children are very wise. They're not ever going to do anything that is going to put their child in jeopardy by these people who are run by the little G God.
Absolutely. Well, you and Randy did a great job raising these youngsters and to become parents. And most likely the grandchildren will turn out pretty good also, won't they?
Well, I'll tell you, they'll be a whole lot healthier than most children. I mean, their attention span, they can learn. They don't sit and scream and cry because their guts hurt, because they've got measles growing in the lining of their intestine, like Dr. Andrew Wakefield found with these children with autism. And then they told him not to tell it or they were going to take his license from him. I mean, he did. He said, well, go ahead and take it. He was a brilliant man. He did what was right.
Hold on, Doctor. We got a break. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here on Thursday, the 20th of March. We got a caller on hold here, Doctor. We got John in Texas. Good morning, John.
I would like to ask the doctor what her feelings are, or to the idea of, first of all, perhaps imposing a wealth tax to pay off the national debt, and once the national debt is paid off, to abolish the right or the power of the United States government of borrowing money, restrict its ability to raise funds, either but to merely by taxation or to monetization. Next, to abolish the Federal Reserve and to establish a central banking system based on the model of the state of the Bank of North Dakota, and to issue Doctor, money debt-free.
Well, let's, Doctor, do you have any response to John's call, his question?
Well, I'm not a finance person, but I'll say this. We've got to figure out something that's better. I do believe that from the study that I have, there's going to be some way that they believe that through the use of cryptocurrency, they can get us out of this debt. But I'm not real sure. I'm not a finance person, but whoever's in charge of that needs to be watched like a hawk, because we know that through the Bible that Judas, the one that had the money, was the one that was not doing what they were supposed to do. Absolutely. So people need to understand money can do things to people that if they didn't have the money, some people wouldn't be. But when money gets into the hands of the wrong people, it can make them turn evil sometimes. So I'm not real sure about what all you're exactly. I haven't looked into it, but we've got to do something different, and we've got to do something better, and it needs to be done fast. And I'm like John, there does need to be a tax overhaul, and I'm not sure about what the answer is for all of that, because I listen to a lot of the people, and I do believe they have a plan with something with cryptocurrency to some way get us out of debt.
Okay, John, thank you for your call. We'll move on. The call number is 512-248-8252. Well, Dr. Leah, for more than a century, our federal government was funded by tariffs. It was a far smaller federal government. Many of the things that they do now are not constitutional. There's no constitutional authority to transfer one penny out of the U.S. Treasury to a private person. That authority does not exist. In fact, they tried that in the 1820s, and they used the introductory sentence on the Article 1, Section 8 as an excuse to transfer money to private persons. It's called the welfare clause, and there is no where they refer to the general welfare, and it's not a clause. The man who wrote the Constitution, it says he told him, and he chewed him out. He was back in Congress as a congressman. He says, "Gentlemen, if I intended that to be a clause, why would I list the 18 things that you can spend money on? There's only about 18 or 19 things in Article 1, Section 8 the federal government can spend money on, and if it's not there, it's not there. It would be remanded to the states to spend money on, not the federal government. So the things I would like to see happen is a reduction of federal spending to what's constitutional, turning over things like Medicare, Medicaid, government welfare to the states, and let the government the federal government be funded by tariffs like it had been for more than a century, a far smaller federal government, by the way. Today, Dr. Lee, we have good news. Today is the day that that President Trump signs an executive order eliminating the U.S. Department of Education. That's a good thing, isn't it?
Well, the end of something can always be the beginning of something great if you know what you're doing and you've got the right people. So we can only hope and pray that they do.
Well, they will. They'll shut it down, and that'll save tens of millions of dollars of the Department of Education, which educates nobody, by the way. And I'll be glad to see that happen. What's next on your list you want to talk about this morning, my dear?
Well, I wanted to discuss a little bit more about this pesticide issue because of Kennedy. We're talking about making our bodies healthier again for our children. And a lot of people don't know that according to the Environmental Protection Agency and the National Academy of Sciences, regularly used standard chemicals are up to 10 times more toxic to children than adults, depending on the body weight. And when the children take more of these toxic chemicals in relative to their body weight than adults, these children's bodies are still in the developmental stages, and it can damage their organs and it makes them more vulnerable. So the EPA has what they call guidelines for carcinogen risk assessment, that they have determined that children receive 50% of their lifetime cancer risks in the first 2 years of their life. And so when they look at some of the laboratory tests of baby food from 8 industry leaders, they reveal the presence of 16 pesticides, including 3 carcinogens. The blood samples of these children that are 2 to 4 years of age have revealed that they have these concentrations of pesticide residues that are 6 times higher in children eating conventionally farmed fruits, vegetables, compared to those eating organic food. So people need to really start paying attention, because it's not just the food additives, it's the pesticides, it's the dyes, it's the preservatives, it's all of it. And so when you start looking at the babies, they've said they took the, they've been using the placenta and stuff a lot for different stem cell research and stuff like that. So they found that there's over 200 chemicals in the mother's blood going into the baby through the placenta. Does not take it all out like a lot of times they thought it might, but it does not.
Amazing. Along the same lines, I was reading this morning that the chemicals plural in diet soda make people depressed, and they end up on antidepressants. Probably no surprise to you, is it, Doctor?
No, and I saw a study. They had wanted to put my mother, and I'm, 5.5 hours away, and some of my family is still in the medical field there, and so they wanted to put her on they called it a happy pill. They want to put all the elderly people on a happy pill instead of giving them vitamins and minerals that their body runs off of. So I started looking at what all the side effects and things were, and there was this gigantic study of like 17,000 people, which is huge. And they said that it was causing dementia in these people to be, if they had any kind of predisposition to having that, it caused it to rapidly come on in a lot of people. So mother had started having some memory issues, and I said, what's going on? I noticed, and I thought, man, they had taken her off of it, thank goodness. But I looked at the time frame she had taken it, and I thought, that's probably what's going on. She wasn't having she wasn't able to remember things. So people need to be very aware of what they're doing, for not just for themselves, but to their elderly parents.
They do. These happy pills, do you recall specifically what they were?
I believe there was like a list of several of them. I'm not,
okay.
I don't do any of that, but there was one that looked, Paxil, I believe, was one of them.
Okay. We got another caller here, Doctor. We got Sherry in Kansas. Good morning, Sherry.
Good morning, y'all. Doctor, do you want to flesh out the ramifications of this thing they're talking about as far as plastic accumulating in the body? I thought I heard them say it's actually the brain, but I'm not sure. Do you have any opinion on that?
The microplastics?
Yes.
Yes, my daughter is up on top of all of this stuff. She's got a young daughter, and so she is, nursing her and taking care of her and making sure that she doesn't have any of that. But we had looked up that zeolite does help to pull some of that out, and that can go all over the body, apparently, from what they've been discovering. So my thing is, I don't want to get upset and nervous. I'm just like, Heavenly Father, okay, if you laugh at the plans of the enemy, you're going to have to tell me how I can laugh too. So tell me what to do about this stuff, Father. And so zeolite is a good form that can help pull that out. And yes, I have heard that it can go all over the body, but glutathione and zeolite used together, especially if you're using the precursors to glutathione, like in Immunical, it's a double bonded cysteine that will cross the blood-brain barrier. And so it can help pull a lot of that stuff out of the body. Yes, I'd be aware, but I wouldn't be so scared. Oh my gosh, I've got this in my body. I'm just like, how do we get it out? So we do the best we can, but yes, I do believe that they are learning that all of this plastic, it's not just like leaching the chemical part in, it's actually microscopically in the body now.
There's one, this Dr. O'Hara that brand that sells some precursors to to good bacteria. What's the word I'm looking for? In your body to
probiotics.
Probiotics, and they've got this one that's supposed to be a precursor to making glutathione, helping your body make more glutathione. Have you heard of that? And if you do you have any opinion on that?
Well, I use Immunical, and the reason I use it is it has 65 plus clinical trials to prove efficacy. It's patented for cancer specifically. It's patented to help with muscle development, like with people with muscular dystrophy can take that. It's patented for a lot of different things, and it's patented anti-aging. So I use that one because I've seen people that they were issued a government issued blind card, and then they had their driver's license that was issued to them after they had the blind card issued. They had gotten their vision back. So, I use that one, and I've seen like people that start taking it that have cancerous tumors, and the tumor shrinks down, and they don't have to do all of the other things. So I prefer the one that I've seen. But I'm not real sure. I'm still not real sure what you're saying the precursor would be to that.
So you're saying this Immunical is a probiotic? Or
no,
a
it is
precursor
a
to probiotics?
precursor to glutathione. Now,
Okay.
probiotics are something else, but they're not the precursor to glutathione.
Yeah.
But they are
Okay.
very
Well,
good for your health.
I know they had that on some news thing I was listening to recently, and then also this morning they had on my local news, they had something about this, that I think it was the FDA or some university was, they were getting good results or good preliminary results from some new Alzheimer's drug, and it might have actually been 2 of them, but I really think that a lot of this has something to do with the chemtrails, because it's got to be affecting the food supply all over the place, particularly the aluminum, if that's really what they think is part of the problem in Alzheimer's. So, yeah, I'm with you as far as stop spraying us.
Yes, and there's I saw years ago there was a local news station that confirmed barium and aluminum in chemtrails here in Arkansas. And so I can sympathize with anyone, but if we would take the glutathione booster that crosses the blood-brain barrier, I use the Immunical, it will help with a lot of that. And we've seen people that were having issues with their memory really become symptom-free pretty quickly by boosting glutathione and detoxing their body. It's a cumulative effect, and they know, all of this stuff that's in the environment is going to make us worse. So it's the food and the medical things and the preservatives in the food and the preservatives in the candy and all of that cumulatively affect us negatively. And so if we can regularly do things like fast, of course, make sure you're under the doctor's care before you start anything new. But if we could learn to fast, drink water, sweat, take things to boost our glutathione level, detox parasites and yeast and heavy metals, we would all probably not need a lot of this medical jargon and stuff they're throwing out to us.
Well, that's good to know that I'm going to look for that, because I have a family member who is showing some signs of dementia. So thank you. Good show.
Thanks for the call, Sharon.
Give me a call. Any more information, I'd be glad to talk to you.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Got open lines. You got a question or comment? Give us a call at 512-248-8252. Well, Dr. Lee, you're building a following here on this show. You've been with me, 4 or 5 weeks now? I've lost track. And your popularity is growing.
I had a little. We had one day that I wasn't because I had to go see Mother, but other than that, we've been going for about 4 or 5 weeks. You're right.
Yep, that's right. And we're getting a lot of good information out here, helping people, and that's our goal, is to help people, isn't it?
Well, that's my goal, John. Once you find out, we come here and we think, they say, oh, you can be anything and do anything you want. You can, but really, when you come into this life and you discover the pain of life and something that caused you pain, then you want to be, if you find the answers through the leading of the Holy Spirit, you want to help yourself, and then you want to turn and help other people as much as you can.
We have our last Sharon Moore here on Thursday, the 20th, visiting with Dr. Leah Parker. You want a private consultation? Just give her a call. Here's that phone number, 417-559-0216. Doctor, you got about 3 minutes to summarize your thoughts for the day and for the week, my dear.
Well, I just wanted to say to the lady that was calling about the aluminum really quickly that the aluminum content that they looked at in like TPN therapy, it tells you that they don't want the IV feedings to contain more than 25 micrograms of aluminum per liter of solution. And this is, in for adults. And then when you start looking, there was a doctor that did a comparison for they said a 22-pound 1-year-old could receive at least 50 micrograms safely, this was what they were finding out. There weren't really a lot of information, but when you get into looking at the shots and the cumulative effect in the first 2 years of these children's life of just aluminum, some of them, if depending on the combination and vaccines, you could be given 1,225 micrograms of aluminum into these children. And they're telling you a 22-pound 1-year-old could receive 50 micrograms safely. Well, these babies are not that big. What are we doing giving that much? I mean, that is insane. And so, yes, it's coming through a lot of different ways, and we've got to, some of these issues, we've got to stand up and fight back and say we're not going to allow this in our children's bodies. I mean, there are some things that people need to stand up and take a stand on, and that is one of them, because autism kind of looks like Alzheimer's early on when you start looking at it, because they're not able to talk, they can't remember their neurological system. And if we're not willing to stand up and fight these evil people that are trying to harm our children, what are we doing?
There's nothing more precious in our children, is there, Leah?
Nothing. And our grandchildren and these ladies are willing to do. They're going to stand up and say no. And when they find out, they're going to stand up. We carry those babies in our bodies, and how dare them say that they have control over them after we have nursed that baby and created that baby and taken care of that baby, and then we just say no, we don't want you to inject our baby with poison, and they're going to take my baby away. Well, if people don't wake up, then I don't know, Jesus needs to come back then.
Yes. Well, thank you, Dr. Lee, and we appreciate you being with us. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Thursday.